Hi, everybody. Welcome in our webinar about phase-based maintenance. Today, we will give you a quick guide about the new features and the new topic actually of phase-based maintenance itself. First, just a quick recapture of the last month. We did a tour of 5 webinars the last month since September of all topics concerning supply chain, production, maintenance. And this is the last one. So we have the honor to present you the last webinar, and we hope you enjoy it, of course. First, some quick guides. Of course, today everything will be in English and will be recorded, so you can always watch it again later. If there are any questions, you can always type them in the chat and we will answer them at the end because everyone will be muted during our webinar. So, who are we? My name is Guy de Koning. This is Thibaut. Hello, Thibaut Velge. We both are consultants at Flexo already multiple years. SAP consultants, mostly in the plant maintenance, asset management area.
Yep.
So, you know who we are, and let's start. Today, what will we do? We will have 45 minutes, I guess, of time, and we will guide you to a quick introduction of maintenance, very quick, high level. And then we will continue more in detail what is phase-based maintenance with some new features. And of course, at the end, we will take a look at the steps how to get to them in the future. Let's start with the introduction. First, why is maintenance important? Of course, everyone knows that machinery can sometimes break down, and we don't want that. So we want to optimize the performance of technical installations just to make sure that our machines work correctly. We don't want any breakdowns, or as less breakdowns as we can. And we don't want any scrap, or not as much as possible. So that is very important, and that is why we do it. Also, if we do that, we also reduce our downtimes of our machines. The downtimes make sure that the machines keep on running. If there are no downtimes, we are sure that the machines keep on running, and we can increase production, which is, of course, in a production environment, very important. The next one is the expansion of the lifespan of our assets. We don't want to buy a machine and install it, and then after a year it's broken and we can throw it away. We can scrap it. That's not how we want to do it. We want to make sure that the machine lasts as long as possible. So the moment we acquire it, we want to use it several years and as long as we can to make sure that production is done on that line. Mm-hmm. Not only the machines are important. Of course, we work also with people. People are very important in the maintenance or in every production area. We want to create a safe work environment also. It is very important that machines, not only machines, but also infrastructure, have been maintained correctly. So to make sure that no casualties in the worst case or injuries happen when machines break down or something goes awry. And at the end, the main goal of everything is also to minimize the costs. How can we do that? Of course, make sure that the machines don't break down too much, so we don't have too much maintenance required. And also very important is the following of the guidelines and preventive maintenance. These are two very important parts to minimize the costs. With a quick overview of what maintenance actually is, why it is required, why we need it. But we know why, but what can we do with it? That's also very important. This will give you an overview. I will give you now an overview of the 4 most important scope items in the new system in S4, with a quick overview of what the details are and what they do. The first one we have is reactive maintenance. The reactive maintenance is what we all know as corrective maintenance in the earlier versions of SAP, and this is the most regular one. Something goes wrong, a door breaks, a machine breaks down. We get a notification, and we get to the end of the process. Everything goes wrong first, and then we fix it. The next proactive maintenance is the preventive maintenance of before. We all know that we want to make sure that the machines are maintained before they break down. We want to be sure that everything is correct, that the machines are maintained correctly, just to make sure that nothing is going wrong. Of course, there are a lot of strategies possible to do that, time-based or based on usage, linked with production. Everything is possible there. There's also predictive maintenance. This is newer and newer and more coming up these times actually, because that is working with a prediction actually. All the data we get from the machines based on PLC information, SCADA, which will give us information, and then maybe with artificial intelligence, which is really hyped today, we can also predict when things will go wrong. Of course, not on the second, but it will help us to make sure that the problems are not occurring. The third one is improvement maintenance. This is making investments in our machines, creating new machines, installing new machines. It's also to improve the reliability and the maintainability of the assets. Just make sure that they go on as long as possible. This is mostly capex issue, so the investment and financially wise, it's also captured correctly, mostly by using projects or internal orders. The refurbishment is one subflow of it that will give the possibility to repair our equipment, our machines, because some parts can be replaced during when something goes wrong. We replace them so the machine can continue, and then later on we can refurbish the part that was broken down. And a fourth one, the overhead and operational maintenance is a new one, a new scope item. This is mostly to cover all the other tasks like training, development, when technicians have to document changes they did to machines or to the technical objects. It can all be tracked using the maintenance process of operational and overhead maintenance. Now we've seen the processes, and we all know the current process within maintenance. The current process is mostly starting within corrective maintenance from a notification or a maintenance plan if we have preventive maintenance. And we know that an order comes out of it, we have to schedule it, we have to release it. The execution happens, and then later on we have to complete the order. These are steps we all know, but they're not all of them are tracked using a status or whatever in the system. So it's always a bit tricky to see in what step actually our orders and our progress is. So that's actually one of the pain points. Is it a pain point? Not exactly. Most of these are good already, but they could be improved with the new process, with the new approach. Most of them are tracked by using system statuses, and of course, we all use user statuses also to make it more possible to track an order. But that is one of the possible improvements, and we're going to take a look at it later. Also, the monitoring using these user statuses could go better. It could be better. So this is a traditional approach, but now it's time to step in the new one, and this is phase-based maintenance.
Yes, thank you, Guy. So what is phase-based maintenance exactly? Well, compared to the more traditional processes that my colleague he just explained, where mainly sub-GUI transactions are used, the modern approach is more designed to be used with the new Fiori apps. That doesn't mean that you cannot use the modern approach, the phase-based approach, with your current SAP GUI system. It can, but it has limits, which I will explain in a second. So the new approach comes with a new concept, which is process phases, and process phases are introduced to track better the life cycle of your maintenance process. Phase-based maintenance is also called the 9-phase model, which is an alternative to system and user statuses that are used previously or currently in your SAP system. So it is important to mention that these system and user statuses, they continue to exist with the new approach, but they take backstage. Because of these process phases, this new concept, it consists of two levels of hierarchy. We have phases, but we also have subphases. As I mentioned already, it's called the 9-phase model. So let's go and have a deeper look at what these phases are all about. The 9-phase model starts with the first phase, the initiation, where a maintenance request is created in the system by anyone in your company or by a technician. And the submitted maintenance request is sent to a screening phase. A screening phase, and where a supervisor or a gatekeeper collects all the incoming maintenance requests and checks whether to approve them, reject, or ask even more information to the person who initiated the maintenance request. Afterwards, when the maintenance request gets approved, it's sent to the planning phase, and where a maintenance order is created in the system. Optional is an approval phase. It can be configured manually or automatically in your system to add an approval phase if needed. When the maintenance order is planned, released, approved, it is sent to the next phase, phase 5, which is the prepare phase. And the prepare phase, as mentioned in the beginning, we have phases, but we also have subphases. And every phase, it's not indicated here on the slide, but we've taken a limited selection of examples. But every phase also has a representing subphase, and a subphase basically gives more information about the phase itself. So you can send a maintenance order to in preparation subphase as it moves on to the next phases. So again, it gives a better structure to follow up your maintenance process. Once the maintenance order is prepared, it is sent to the scheduling phase, in where you dispatch maintenance orders. Once the dispatching is finished, it moves on to the execution phase, in where the maintenance technicians receives all the maintenance jobs that needs to be carried out, and they can start working on it. And afterwards, in the post-execution phase, they can start creating confirmations on the system. They can add malfunction data, they can add failure data in the post-execution phase. The last phase, which is similar to the traditional approach, is of course the completion of your maintenance order. So this gives you an overview. It's more or less the same flow, of course, to the traditional approach my colleague explained, but it is enriched with new additional or extra steps to better facilitate your maintenance process, such as the screening phase. An approval phase can also be added. Okay, that said, two of the maintenance processes he also explained in the beginning in the introduction are reactive maintenance and proactive maintenance. So these are scope items that follow the new phase-based approach. So they both follow the 9-phase model. Reactive maintenance, the successor of corrective maintenance. The proactive maintenance, the successor of preventive maintenance. They can completely different configured in your SAP system. Some steps or some phases can be set optional. And in the case of proactive maintenance, the first phase, the initiation, is not needed because, of course, it starts from a maintenance plan from which notifications or orders are automatically generated in the system. Okay, so that's a small overview of the first two phase-based maintenance processes. What we're going to do now is go a little bit more in detail of reactive maintenance, because that flow has some special flows that can be started from, and mainly in the initiation phase. So multiple different process flows can be triggered or started. So we've seen the complete 9-phase model approach, the full end-to-end flow. If that may be a little bit too much, SAP came up with some possibilities to shorten or to make the flow more flexible. One option or possibility is to generate an emergency work maintenance request. What does it mean? Basically, the emergency maintenance flow has been incorporated into the new reactive maintenance flow. And what does it mean? It means that someone is creating a maintenance request in the system, but it skips phases. So the maintenance request that is logged in the system gets immediately accepted in the screening phase. A maintenance order is immediately generated, and it moves on to phase 7, which is the execution part, in where your technician can start executing or can enter confirmations on the maintenance order. So that is one possibility. Another possibility is the minor work option. This option has been created by SAP just to log a problem in the system. The request gets accepted as well automatically in the screening phase. And there is no need to make maintenance orders as a consequence of that logged problem in the system. So there the flow ends. It is intended to just create problems, to log problems in your SAP system. The remaining two phase-based flows are improvement maintenance and operational and overhead maintenance. Also, these two flows follow the 9-phase model. The only difference is that the first two phases are not needed because maintenance requests are not used within these flows. No, they start immediately from the creation of a maintenance order in the system. And so it starts as of phase 3, which is the planning phase. Okay, we've seen the new approach and the new modern approach with the 9 phases. We've seen also some ways to make the flow more flexible by skipping phases. To control the flow even better, SAP came up with phase control codes. It is introduced by SAP to allow the transition between these phases even better. It is used to, maybe I will start with an example. If a maintenance order, the maintenance order, for example, can be scheduled in your system, but it may not be executed yet because of missing work permit or a permit which has not been received yet and is really mandatory to execute your maintenance work. That phase control code can really block the transition from one phase into another. And with that new concept, again, SAP tries to configure or to make the new approach more flexible. Okay, what do you think?
Yeah, it looks very good. The true advantages actually I see in this phase-based process are the steps. We have a quick overview of the 9 steps. We see a lot of information based on some statuses. I think you can see it on standard system statuses in which phase or subphase we are. But that's nice. But in the current process, how can we do it? The system has to help us. There should be some new tools, I would say, applications that new features, maybe to help us out with this. Can you explain some of them, maybe?
Yes, of course. This brings me to the next chapter about the new features. Yes. So the backbone of the new approach, of the new modern approach, is to give a better overview. It gives more transparency in your maintenance process. Together with this, there are, of course, a lot of benefits or features that comes along with that. And the first one, for example, is that with the new approach, a completely new user experience has been made for technicians, which I will explain afterwards. Also, the second feature is an improved efficiency through technology during the maintenance request creation, and where the priority can be modified by the system. A third feature is that because of the new process, which is really well structured, there are also nice Fiori applications to do the planning of your maintenance process. And the last feature is, I've mentioned as well in my first slide, is a better end-to-end gatekeeping support. Okay, so as I've mentioned, the new approach is basically designed to be used with Fiori apps. We see here a list of all completely new Fiori apps designed for the phase-based processes, and more in particular in terms of screening. Fiori apps have been created to do your planning better, to follow up, to execute approval flows if they are set manual, to do the follow-up of them, as well as creating confirmations for technicians, but I will cover that in a second. So all SAP is continuously investing in these new Fiori apps to innovate them and to make them even more user-friendly. And that is basically why SAP would like to make the difference with the more traditional approach, where you are still working with the SAP GUI transactions. So, and what the first feature I would like to tackle is about intelligent prioritization and is situating in the first phase, the creation of a maintenance request. The feature is about letting SAP choose the priority instead of the person who is creating the maintenance request. Everyone knows that who is logging a maintenance request, it's either a wrong priority that he's selecting,
or the highest one,
because it's always high prio. And SAP would like to change this kind of behavior. So they came up with a matrix, and based on consequences, consequence categories and likelihoods, as listed here: people, impact, asset, reputation, environment. You can set up a matrix in your SAP system, and behind these consequences, you configure specific priority codes. And then it's up to the end user that, based on your configuration, here you can see an example of a best practice, example, and where an end user needs to select the consequence and likelihood of a problem that he is logging. And based on what he chooses, it will be SAP, or basically what you configured in your backend system, that will decide which priority the ticket will receive. And like I've mentioned, it can be completely configured upon your company requirements. So that's a first benefit that comes along with the maintenance request creation. A second, the next next feature is about the once an order has been approved and released, it jumps into the preparation phase. And it is in the preparation phase that you divide the maintenance work into manageable groups, what we call buckets. We can have operational buckets and we can have event planning buckets. And with buckets, we mean the work which can be used for recurrent maintenance work, but we can also have maintenance work that should take place within a specific one-time maintenance window. And then you can create event planning buckets, for example, such as shutdowns or revisions. So there are different ways of planning your maintenance. And it is displayed here in a graphical chart where I would like to zoom in a little bit. Yep, here. So as you can see here on the first, yeah, as you can see here on your slide, these planning buckets are divided here per week. So we see here week 35, week 36, week 37, and per week you can easily see what is the status of my maintenance. A lot of maintenance orders are still in the approval phase. A lot of orders are still in the preparation or execution phase. So you can easily do your follow-up of your maintenance. And if you would like to see more information about this, you can simply click on your bar chart and a more detailed overview is displayed in where you get to see a list of whole maintenance orders with all the statuses next to it. What needs to be done if components, for example, are not there? What is the priority and when was it scheduled, the maintenance order? Okay. So yeah, I think I explained most of it here. Then the next feature is the new user experience that comes along with the modern approach. SAP came up with the new a new tool for technicians, which is called the perform maintenance jobs. If there are companies here calling in who are already using Fiori applications, it's the successor Fiori app of the confirm job and display job list. It looks completely different, new. An advantage is that it can be used as well with the more traditional maintenance processes as well.
Mhm.
But the new modern approach has also been introduced here. And so the idea is that it records all aspects of maintenance technicians, meaning it is the place to be where a maintenance technician should be to manage your operations and to basically record your time that you spend on maintenance orders to consume components. But yeah, this Fiori app has been enhanced every
release.
every release, and a lot of new features are coming along with that, such as quick confirmation possibilities, and so on and so on. Yeah,
Yes, we had 4 features and only 3 of them appeared. The second one, the gatekeeping, was gone. Can you tell us a little something about it?
Yeah, thank you, for mentioning. Well, the gatekeeping support indeed. I mentioned a little bit in the beginning. Now there were always problems at companies between different departments. Can be production department, can be maintenance department. I logged the problem, and what happened with my logged problem in the system? I can't see what is happening. And so with this new approach, and SAP came up with 2 new Fiori applications, and where the follow-up easily can be done based on statuses. So they get to see all open maintenance requests, the ones that are completed, the ones that are rejected, but also the ones that, if information is missing, it can be sent back to the person who was creating the ticket, ask for more information, and then based on these sub phases, the status also changes back. So because of that, the ticket can resend back to the screening phase. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it fell out, but it's an interesting part.
Yeah.
So in the end, we have the phase-based process. The phase-based approach gives us a lot of transparency in the process.
Exactly.
And the steps in the phases. And it is supported by many features, of which 4 of them have been highlighted right now. So that gives us a good overview of what it actually is.
Yeah.
Now, we've seen what it is, how it can help us out, but I know you all want it right now. And how we do that? What is the future of the asset management? First, we have the old scope items like corrective maintenance, preventive maintenance. We all know them. You use them probably. But these will not be standard relevant in the future. The focus of SAP will be mostly on the new scope items using the phase-based approach. This will also mean that there will be no extra innovations that will be done. SAP will not put any effort anymore in improving the older scope items and the traditional approach. And that's why they give us a recommendation to migrate to the new process. Of course, it should not be done directly. You can always do it later on. Later, more about that.
Yeah.
Also, if you want to start up with asset management, these processes, these scope items will be available, but not activated by default.
No.
If you really want them, instead of the new ones, we can activate them, but they will not be available right away out of the box.
No.
That's why the new scope items are introduced. They are giving us more a step into the future. These are then reactive and proactive maintenance, and also the overhead and operational and improvement processes. And these are always included in your S4 license. So it's nothing new. There's no extra license required. It's available out of the box.
Mhm.
If you have a version, of course, so it released in 2021 or later. Because they're new and it's really the approach SAP wants to take and the future they want to go to, they will be having many innovations coming up the next years. The roadmap is really filled with new stuff, so we can always introduce new extra features.
Yep.
And these are defaulted when you activate the asset management module on your system. So it's actually really the thing to go to. Now, how can we do that? Of course, we've seen what the new and old scope items are, but of course, we have a path. We want to take a path to the future, to the phase-based process. If you're now currently using the ECC system and you're planning to migrate to convert to the S4 system, we can only suggest a direct implementation of the new approach. It's not interesting to start up with the old ones first, and then convert to the new ones later on. Just start directly. Use the opportunity of your conversion to implement the new approach directly. The same is actually counts actually if you use S4 already with a version, of course, that is already released after 2021. If you really want to start up asset management, just choose the direct implementation of the new approach. It's not recommended again to start with the old one, but start with the new one. But what if you already have S4 and you use asset management? Of course, the traditional approach. You can the migration is suggested by SAP, but if you want to do that step by step, not with a big bang, it is possible to use both approaches parallel next to each other. Whenever the setup is done, for the new approach, the old orders are not impacted. So it's not that the old orders, even if the same order type is used, the old orders will be deleted or will be inaccessible. No, everything can be used next to each other. And whenever you want to do the cutover to phase-based maintenance, you can do it anytime. So it's just a matter of activating some things and customizing, transporting them, and we're live. So this gives us the different views also to the phase-based, the paths to the future, actually. Now, we're at the end, I think. We've seen everything we can about phase-based maintenance. So what was it? Actually, phase-based maintenance is using less user statuses because a lot of companies use way too much of them. It's also adding a lot of new features. So the new features that gives us the possibility.
Yeah, of course, we only saw a limited selection of features, but yeah, there are many more, of course.
Yeah. And all these features and the user statuses using all the 9 phases in the 9-phase model gives a better follow-up of our maintenance tasks. So phase by phase, we can always see where we are. That's very cool. Having a better follow-up gives us also the better insights using the gatekeeping process and also the planning overview. It gives us better insights. And all the good news is it's all included in the license. So if you want it, you already have it.
It's there.
It's there. It's not mandatory, but it's recommended. That's what I just said.
Mhm.
SAP is really looking forward to with the phase-based approach. And in the future, of course, some things will go out of scope, but it is not mandatory for now. So we can only recommend to step over to the new approach, but
Exactly.
the decision is, of course, up to you.
Yep.
And because SAP is looking forward to it, with it and at it, it's future-proof. So yeah, it gives a good view into the future on how to capture your maintenance.
Yeah. Perfect.
Perfect. So time for a small Q&A, I guess.
Yeah, we're at the end of the presentation now. So let's jump over to the Q&A and see if there are maintenance questions coming up. Let's have a look.
Does the entire maintenance process go through Fiori interface, or can also the GUI be used?
Well, yeah, the new modern approach is designed to be used with Fiori apps. Maybe I didn't explain very well in the beginning. It can be used already with your SAP GUI system, but it has limits. For example, yeah, some elements you are not able to see. So yes, you can generate a reactive maintenance order or a proactive maintenance order in your system, but you will not enjoy all benefits what you will get with all the new Fiori apps. You will not be able to do your graphical follow-up planning. You will not see all phases, sub-phases. So it's really limited. So you can start already, but yeah, as mentioned, you will not enjoy all the benefits.
So it's really intended to use the Fiori applications.
Exactly.
Although you can use a GUI, but
yeah.
Is there a second question?
Are there other questions?
How do you move from plant maintenance to phase-based plant maintenance?
Yeah, how do you move? There's not exactly a migration path that you need to execute. No, you can use both in parallel. Right? It's not that it works with other master data. No, it works with all the same master data. Of course, you need to configure your new modern approach in your customizing. That, of course, you need to do. But for the rest, I don't see.
It's actually just activating the new approach. Based on order type, there's a setting just saying new approach, phase-based approach, and then if you save it, and then actually you start over with the new approach. You start with it. So there's not really big steps to be have.
Okay, let's see if there are other questions.
What about pricing? Actually, it's included.
Yeah,
it's included in your S4. The things are all available. No extra licenses are required. There are no extra costs to be made. Just the implementation cost of the changeover, and which is not big, as we just mentioned. So that's the only issue the only thing I can say about that. Everything is included in the system if you have asset management, which is also in the core of S4. So
yeah, exactly. Okay, then if
more questions?
no further questions,
then we can end it here. Oh, one more question coming up.
Okay.
Do you still have notifications and work orders as in the old PM approach and stored in the same database? They will still be there.
Yes.
There will be no changes. Everything will still be there. The only thing that changes is in the background one setting to say it's a new approach from now on. But every information you already have, every notification, every order will continue to be working. Every order type that will be used will continue to work. And the old orders that are existing will also be available. So the data is not lost. If orders already are opened and then the change is done, they will just continue in the new approach.
Yeah.
But everything will still be in the same database.
Okay. Another one. I suppose you have 7 order types right now. I don't see any issue or problem with that. They will all follow their own more or less traditional maintenance flow, or either preventive or either corrective. No, the best practice when they will be configured in your system, they come with new order types. But even these ones, you can flexibly
Change them
configure
over.
or change towards the ones that you would like to work with. But we don't see any issue having multiple order types in the traditional maintenance process.
It is even possible, like we said before, to have a parallel approach. So you can have both of them next to each other.
Yes.
So it is possible to convert 3 or 4 of your order types to the new approach, and then leave 3 for
Yeah.
later on, or maybe they will be phased out or never be used again.
Yeah.
So that's possible. You really choose your path in the future that way.
Yeah, and if I may add, you can choose which flow you would like to convert in the beginning. For example, you would like to start with the proactive, the new preventive maintenance flow, and yeah, that one you can already start working in your new system, and the other ones you just keep on using.
Yes.
Okay.
5 questions. If of course, if you really want to have some more information, you can always contact us. We're always ready and available to give you some more information about this and how to help you out in the future with it.
Yeah.
So I think this webinar comes to an end. The last of 5 ones, we had the honor to close up. So that I would just say, I hope you enjoyed it. This one, you had a lot of information you really wanted to see, you really wanted to hear also, and that we were nice hosts for you. So thank you very much for listening and for calling in. We will hear from you, I hope.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and have a nice holiday.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.